Well, glad to have you here. All right, so let's talk about the first thing that people were met with this week, and that's the inflation number. I think it's 3.1% adjusted annually, still above 3%. And the problem is a lot of folks were anticipating, 3 or 4 rate cuts this year. Now Wall Street's basically taking that off the table, which is why there was a sell-off. That initial shock kind of out of the way. Where are we?
Well, I think that's a good analysis right there, Steve. The markets were expecting inflation of 2.9%, and the number came in a little hot at 3.1. You might think, well, 0.2, no big deal. But the Fed thinking about cutting rates later this year, right? When you have a hotter number, it's going to cause them to back off and delay that conversation about cutting rates.
Yeah, so if you're not going to be cutting rates, the one thing that I know, as much of an amateur I am in investing, the market does not like what it does not know. It doesn't like surprises. It doesn't like to be kept in the dark. It wants things to be very predictable. And when that doesn't happen, it gets bumpy, right?
That's exactly right. We like to say there's a beast inside the market. And that market down 500 points, if there were a continued slide like that, right, next thing you know, Powell and the other voters, the other governors at the Fed, right, they're going to have their hand forced to cut if the beast inside the market, right, is driving them that way.
But what happened instead was, on Valentine's Day, the market came back 150 points, just a little bit better. NASDAQ up by 200, S&P 500 by 47. So I'm just looking at my quick references here. It all kind of bounced back and leveled off. So do you think that shock is over and we're going to just kind of move forward from here?
I do think that shock is over. It kind of seemed like a one-day surprise. And remember, in February, right, when we had this down 500 day, we were just taking us back to February 1. So it wasn't like it's necessarily a big shock, right? It's just a few days in the market. The beginning of the week was great, or the beginning of the month was great. So we're just going back to February 1. And then secondly, the market's digesting, right, the CPI numbers and really looking under the hood. And I know that, a lot of us kind of make fun of the data saying, well, if we take out this or if we take out that, but the reality is, if we take out shelter, inflation's running with a 1 handle, which is very exciting for nerds like us who study this data.